everybody. I am Curious Corduroy, and you are listening to the Save Data podcast, and I am once again joined by Drunklock Holmes.
Yeah, good resident peanut gallery. Actually, professional peanut gallery. I should make people pay me for this.
I was going to say you
No.
moved up to professional.
Yeah, professional peanut gallery. Now I give my opinion when you don't want to, along with my business card.
So we are, a little over a month away from our last episode.
I try not to keep track.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember if it was August or September. It just all blends.
Well, I think I want to say it was September, but at the same time has been just flying, man. This is looks like it's another one of those years that are just going to take the hell off.
Yeah, October felt really quick to me.
Well, October felt like his birthday month for me, so it literally felt quick because I'm pretending it didn't exist.
Yeah, but our birthdays are close.
Yeah. So it's probably the same thing. We're like October? Nah, never heard of it. November though. I think I remember Halloween, and that's it.
I always get excited because AMC shows Halloween. Well, they used to show like exclusively Halloween, but now they're showing a bunch of other like horror movies, and it's kind of irking me because I expect to turn on AMC and I expect Halloween 4 to be on, and it's not on. So it's a little bit of a bummer.
You booted up, Freddy Krueger's on. You're like, I don't recall asking to see Drunklock Holmes on the TV, so we'd move this on.
Self-burn.
We get back to the stabby stab. That's I hate self-burn. There's other jokes I can't even touch with that one. That's a little too harsh, even for me. But hey, somebody's gotta.
It wasn't even meant to be like that.
Well, thankfully there's a million things to keep your ear to the ground on October, because there's been a bunch of news. Believe it or not.
Yeah, good amount of stuff has happened. We're gonna open up this podcast with like quick bites. I don't know what we would call them, like a Quibi. You remember Quibi?
Bite. Yeah.
You know, Quibi apparently stood for quick bite, but it's pronounced Quibi instead of Quibi.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Quibi rolls off the tongue like a train wreck. So
yeah, it's a terrible name either way.
Yeah, I feel like they had something good going with that, but it's of course squandered in some fashion because they wanted money right now.
But we're gonna open up. We got some headlines that smaller stories that we're just gonna go through and rattle off. And as well,
literally today.
Yeah, and at any point in time, if you guys are interested in learning more about these stories, in the description box, I will post all of our sources. So you can go in there and click on any of the articles. And if there's something maybe we didn't cover or you want to know more about, feel free to click on those and it'll take you to our source links. But the first thing I want to talk about, actually, before we get to that WB thing, is tomorrow there will be a state of play for PS5. It's confirmed to be 20 minutes, and it will be focusing exclusively on third-party companies. So we're going to plan to cover it along with the Halo campaign showcase. As for the state of play itself, we don't know what's going to be there. It could be, non-exciting stuff. We could see stuff like Final Fantasy 16, although that might not be shown anywhere until Game Awards. Even Silent Hills, the fabled Silent Hills. So depending on what happens, we'll probably give it a once over on another episode, but that does happen tomorrow. By the time this podcast comes up or gets uploaded, that might have already happened, but that's just like a quick little note for the top of the podcast.
If it's cutting info, I'd imagine it might make a jump early. Just be like, episode something 0.5, the one about the PlayStation or the state of play, because like God himself is coming to showcase PS5 games tomorrow, and we're gonna need to see it.
Hopefully it's cool. Hopefully it's good.
Or I'm expecting that.
I don't want to get my hopes up.
It's October.
Yeah, I don't want to get my hopes up, but some cool stuff could be there. But within the past, 48 hours or so, we had a story break about a Warner Brothers platform fighter in the vein of Smash Bros. For some reason, this person who was reporting it, this comes from Gaming Leaks and Rumors on Reddit, they stated that this was a game being developed by NetherRealm. However, people have come out since then and said, no, that's not the case. NetherRealm is not the one behind this game, which actually is kind of nice. But it is in the vein of Smash Bros. And now Nickelodeon All-Stars, even though this game was allegedly in production before the Nick game was announced. And it's said to be a tag team game. So we're not sure if that means you're going to pick your two characters and you fight at the same time, or maybe you're going to switch between them. It says each character is a pair, Or if each character is an individual, you can switch between them and then lose a stock. So like if you start with one character and then maybe you die, then the other one gets tagged in. But they are implying that there will be synergy between these characters. So certain characters are going to link up with one another.
Right.
And a quick little list that was released of characters to be in the game are Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, which is actually kind of funny.
This is where I get skeptical.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was that whole Ultra Instinct meme that went around with Shaggy.
Look, yeah, which by the way, if I remember correctly, they like confirmed him because there was like a scene or something from either game or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was. I'll have to look it up.
I think it might have been an MK11.
There was like a scene or something, and it shows like a bad guy doing something, and he gets like smacked out of the way, and then Shaggy, Ultra Instinct Shaggy, shows up for like a sec, and then it closes.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you guys can't do this to us. Okay.
That'd be pretty funny if it happened, but Shaggy is listed to be there. Gandalf from Lord of the Rings, which would be cool. Tom and Jerry, Batman,
Yeah,
which anything with Batman, I'm okay with. Fred Flintstone, Mad Max. I'll skip to Johnny Bravo, and then here's the interesting thing. It says Harry Potter and Ron from the Harry Potter universe are apparently in, but the rights are weird, so they stopped development on them. So the person reporting this says they don't know if that was said in jest, like jokingly they're going to be in there, or the rights are really confusing. So Harry Potter and Ron are just kind of a question mark right about now. But it is kind of funny that they announced a platform fighter, because it honestly kind of reminds me of back in like maybe when the original Smash Bros came out. There was like a wave of Smash clones that happened, and then we had like a lull period where nothing happened, and now it feels like we're kind of getting back to that.
Well, that's because Smash began to like actually put some effort, like with Melee, especially like effort to like be depth instead of like, haha, our character's fighting. I mean, there was that one, what is it? Sony's like PlayStation All-Stars.
Yeah,
there was. Remember that?
PlayStation All-Stars. Before that, even previous gen, the Onimusha games, they had their own platformer brawler. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at one point in time had their own platform brawler.
You'd have to first remind me, like, who the Onimusha series in general.
Oh, that hurts my chest. That hurts my chest.
Homie,
so
I wasn't a Sony child. Around that time, that's when I got my GameCube and had my N64. We had a PlayStation, but it was literally just a oh my goodness, and now I've suddenly forgotten the game. Twisted Metal Machine.
Okay, yeah.
Twisted Metal and Crash Bandicoot. That's all. We played that exclusively.
Good choices.
Yeah. No, I was about to say it's not like when I only played like, you know, those straight to DVD $10 games. You know, the ones that you buy and you're like, why did my grandma? The ones your grandma mistakenly buys at the store.
Yeah, that's actually pretty accurate.
Yeah. That's I moved from that to PC to Xbox. Then it's been PC and Xbox primarily since then. So. Yeah, that's about when the transition began.
Yeah, but that's a pretty interesting story. We'll definitely keep an eye on that, see what comes from it. But I just hope that they put effort into it. You know, they did that with Nickelodeon to an extent, and I hope that if this WB platformer is real, it's fun and it's good.
I hope so, but at the same time, like I literally have busted out my ginormous salt cube to begin taking this story in with, because like I hear it and I'm like, this is obviously something you'd want to do, and NetherRealm's pretty believable. But the thing considering it comes as like a leak and rumor, like I always kind of take that with that. I don't even care if the leak and rumor literally has a guy claiming to be a developer saying, yeah, absolutely, like this is it. It's like, I'll see. We'll see.
Well, moving on. Resident Evil 4 VR was released the past week for the Oculus Quest 2.
Quest 2 only, yes, an exclusive to the platform.
And they did make some revisions to some of the dialogue in the game. This was captured by Eurogamer. They found several pieces of dialogue between Leon and his Secret Service handler, Hannigan, had been edited. For instance, the line where Leon asks Ingrid if she got lonely when she didn't hear from him for 6 hours has been removed. There was also a couple of sequences between the president's daughter, Ashley, and the character of Luis, where he might have made some inappropriate comments towards Ashley. Those have been removed. So I don't know if you saw the video itself, but the scene starts and then Luis shows up and then Ashley's just really mad for no reason because they cut it out, what he says to her. And then it cuts back to Luis, and it's just really jarring. But it's kind of funny that they kind of decided to omit some of that stuff. I think back then it was just kind of like, oh, Leon's trying to be a charming dork. But I can see how it would be kind of viewed as maybe a little creepy these days.
Yeah, there's a bit of a time where we move past that, because this party, even back when you'd hear it and you're just kind of like, Leon, man, like you're trying to like save this girl, like you don't bust her out of jail and then ask her how far does that skirt go.
Yeah,
like, that's you don't go and fling that stuff. He doesn't say that, but that's what I'm saying. It's like that's the
it's
tone
the
it took for a
vibe
sec.
he's giving off. It's weirdly horny.
It's like, I get it. You've got the hair, all right. You got this, Luis. You're a stereotype. We're not even going to talk about that.
Yeah.
And but but Leon, man, chillax. Okay, dang.
But keeping up with Resident Evil, we have Fortnite. I have yet to ever play Fortnite. I got nothing against Fortnite. I think the announcements they make are cool, like with their character universe that they're building. But they announced within the past week that Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield will be joining the roster of Fortnite characters. They will come with alternate outfits as well. Chris starts off with his BSAA RE5 outfit, and his alternate outfit is the Wolfhound one from Village, which his Hound Wolf costume, but his face looks totally different compared to the RE5 model, and it's really jarring.
It's dude, you don't understand how much work he's been through. You know, he didn't take a hammer just to his character, right? He took the hammer to himself.
He's been through some shit. And then Jill starts off with her classic Stars uniform, and her alternate is the RE3 Remake Jill. They do come with some items. I'm guessing these are weapons. So like a hot dogger pickaxe is what they called it, a stun rod pickaxe, and a Broly Stroll emote. And then they come with, like, you're gonna have to help me here because I've not played it, and I know you've played Fortnite.
Clarify all these for you.
Yeah, they have their own survival loading screen, a saving keystroke, back bling as part of the Stars team bundle, and they also get the 3 different colored herbs. I think I know what these might be for, but if you could elaborate more on what they are, that'd be great.
Yeah, they're pretty straightforward. So just all the back blings are essentially like bling for your back. It's something that just goes on your back.
Cosmetic.
So these will all be cosmetic. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, they seem to have included the fact that Valentine, find themselves on the island facing the sideways cube monsters. That's the current theme for the season, which has a little bit of a PvE element where you're fighting. You teleport off to another place and fight cube monsters. So it's like it fits that the Resident Evil characters would come. But the rest of this stuff, the survival loading screens are quite literally loading screen art. The weapons are pickaxes, which have no effect on gameplay. They react the same way as all the other ones do. They're just basically, skins for each of the slots. You get some back blings, some some custom pickaxes. I'm curious what this Brawly Stroll emote is.
I have no idea. I know Fortnite's pretty popular with its emotes. I have no clue what this could be.
I expect it to be absolutely silly.
Brawly Stroll. I have the only thing that comes to mind is like RE5 Chris punching a boulder. That's all I can think of.
It looks like it's related to the umbrella. I've looked up real quick. Sorry, a little sideline. I don't know if you guys will be able to catch this, but I took a look at what it is. It's a traversal. Basically, what they do is it seems like it's the weakest of Resident Evil references. The characters will bust out an umbrella, a parasol, essentially.
Okay.
That is the umbrella, and they'll twist it on their shoulder, and by being a traversal, it just means they can walk around with it. They do like a light little strut as they walk. It's definitely a reference, but it's one of those things that says, how do we get an M-rated game emote reference into our rated E for everyone game?
Yeah, I love Resident Evil. I probably won't play this, but I'll check out some gameplay.
It's not too bad. I guess it fits with the, Resident Evil 4 comes out, this comes out. I mean, it's good to keep Resident Evil in everybody's ears.
Yeah. Up next, we have a bit of a stinger for some Elden Ring fans. The game has been delayed only by a month to February 25th of 2022, but they also announced that they are going to do network testing, so like stress tests for their servers. This comes from the official Elden Ring Twitter account. Elden Ring will release on February 25th, 2022, as the depth and strategic freedom of the game exceeded initial expectations. Thank you for your trust and patience. We look forward to seeing you experience the game in the closed network test in November. #the Elden Ring team. So the closed network test will allow players to play a bit of the game early to help stress test the servers. If you'd like to have more information on that and like how to sign up, you can go to the Bandai Namco website, so you can register, which registration closes really soon on November 1st. They are planning to do 5 tests spread across 3 days. So that could be pretty exciting. Are you going to sign up for this?
Absolutely not. I'm sorry. I'm one of those people. They announced Elden Ring, and I saw it, and I'm just like, I'm okay. I'm all right.
Yeah,
I'll just see what it's like when it comes out.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm tempted to give the closed one. I mean, as streams, I guess I should probably be on the lookout for these types of things. Ugh.
Yeah, it'd be fun to dive into.
I'm of a strange mind. I have no qualms with this game, but Elden Ring's a game where it came out and they're like, oh my god, the next big thing for Miyazaki. I'm like, yeah, I can't wait for this one to just shit lore out and have us do all the work, and then be incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
However, I do have a sweet spot for Sekiro. I have not beaten that game yet, but I was like, whoa, this is a surprisingly like focused experience. So to hear his next one is open world, I'm like, this is the exact opposite of a focused experience.
Yeah.
But I'm curious. It looks solid. I may be of a skeptical name, but not too worried about the stress test. But it definitely looks like, for anybody who thought Dark Souls 1 through 3 was sprawling but like still constrained, it looks like they're going super hard with trying to go ahead and knock down those constrained barriers.
Yeah,
this will be your chance to check it out, though. Yeah.
And then
Don't let me be a negative Nancy.
Our final quick bite. The PlayStation 5 has ended the Nintendo Switch best-selling streak after almost 3 years, which for the Switch to sell as well as it has for the past 3 years, even since its release, is pretty astonishing. This comes directly from MPD analyst Matt Piscatella. He's reporting that the PlayStation 5 was the best-selling hardware platform of September in both units and dollars. PlayStation 5 is the best-selling hardware platform of 2021 year-to-date in dollars, while Nintendo Switch leads in units. So because the PS5 is much more expensive, it sold more monetarily, but there are still more Switch units out there because it's so much more affordable.
Yeah, for those wondering if this means that like Sony's really like, oh, they're finally facing a return, like probably not. That's the fun part. Is
scalpers.
Like both. Well, one, there's scalpers, yes, absolutely. But hey, for Sony and Xbox and even Switch, when the OLED came out, they even got to feel the scalper pain. They just, sale's a sale.
Yeah.
But at the same time, these consoles, almost all of these are like sold as a loss. We actually found that out, a small addendum, if you want to take a tiny look under the hood. We found out from Xbox during, weirdly enough, the Fortnite Apple fiasco.
Oh yeah.
But they said, do you guys sell your consoles at a loss? And they straight up said, absolutely. The consoles are a loss every single time.
Yeah.
And it really makes you think, makes you realize, like, puts into perspective last year. But yeah, because of that you kind of have to like take like a caveat. Like, Sony's doing well, absolutely, and the fact that they're finally pulling ahead of Nintendo in sales dollars is good, and they'll probably end up pulling ahead in terms of units, sure enough. I mean, Sony's literally been the longest name, but each generation Sony's managed to come out on top, even if it was posthumously, in the case of the 360 generation, as the 360 outsold them super hard.
Yeah, it wasn't
but then the
until
PlayStation
PS4.
3. Yeah, it was. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Even so, the PS3 in the end did manage to, at the closing of that generation, pull slightly ahead. Their numbers are now over the 360.
Still pretty impressive. Impressive. It's an impressive feat. It's impressive.
Yeah, well, this is coming from Piscatella, so I don't blame you for like stumbling a little bit, man.
Whenever you gotta,
I saw that name. I didn't know how to pronounce that.
Whenever you gotta read jargon like this, it just doesn't flow off the tongue. I'm not an NPD analyst. Damn it.
Having you say the Fortnite stuff, it was like watching somebody speak a language they've never spoke before.
Yeah.
Can
you tell I've never played it?
Yeah, they're talking. Yeah, it's like you were talking about news in Japan, and you're trying to pronounce the names of the towns, but like you're like, I am a layman.
I'll get it
you're
eventually.
Like a back bling, and it's like
it's all foreign.
It's pretty much exactly what it says.
So
yeah, I mean, that's good to hear. I mean, I wish we could see what Microsoft's in on, but definitely smartly for them, they've opted to just not even bother with theirs. Like, they're like, how come you don't release them? They're like, how come you guys give a damn? Like,
yeah, they also have a different
Matter.
focus. They have a much more different focus, which that actually is the end of our quick bite segment, which was not really a quick bite. I was like, let's stop for a sandwich.
Yes.
Speaking of Microsoft, they did release an update recently for this is actually for Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and Xbox Series S, which I gotta say those names slow because they get confusing when you try to rush it.
I think it says with Xbox One, but I believe the original Xbox One doesn't have native 4K
So
output,
would it be
so
the
it's
One
probably
X
the.
then?
I want to say it's the One X because
Mm-hmm.
having a 4K dashboard does cost a lot, but
Oh
it
yeah,
may have been the One S as well as the One X.
yeah.
But I didn't know about the Xbox One being or the Xbox One at all confirmed. I knew X and S were getting it,
Mm-hmm.
but
But
that's it.
it's a
But yeah, sorry,
4K.
go ahead.
Yeah, it's a 4K dashboard update as well as accessibility options. It does say in the notes that the accessibility options are for Series X, so I'm assuming maybe that's a next gen thing.
I I think it comes down to depends. Like I know that the ones that are listed, like the ones I've seen, some are like the, for example, adjusting the brightness of your console as well as the blue light filter.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is because believe it or not, applying those filters on like a base like OS level is kind of pricey in terms of power.
Yeah.
And we're already eking like everything we can out of the previous gen consoles, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was there. But yeah, they got a
Yeah.
lot of accessibility options.
It is pretty cool though.
Uh,
Like, I don't usually play in the dark, but sometimes if I do, that Xbox logo is just like super bright. So to be able to adjust that, or if you want to put that blue light filter on to ease on your eyes, which I actually do that at night with my iPad and my phones,
yep,
it's just so much
same
easier
here
on your
actually.
eyes. It's easier to look at that screen. There's also a quick setting option allowing users to adjust accessibility options, so those options we just talked about, plus more, without actually having to leave your game, which is a
Yeah, I'd have to look and see, but I didn't get to dive into it too much myself. But they actually they do have, yeah, even the menu right there. Like they've gone pretty hard with accessibility. That's something I can definitely say is fantastic about Microsoft so far. The one thing they've kind of cornered the market on um, is that accessibility. What with their accessibility controller, which is costly from like our standpoint. Like me and you would look at it and say, wow, like a couple hundred for a controller, that's a lot. But considering accessibility options like that are usually in the couple thousands before you even get the games, yeah, that's actually a much better one. But to go with it now, the console has more accessibility stuff. You have the ability to now actually sort out games that may have had accessibility features built into them, like easy for one-handed play
that's cool.
or easy with yeah, that's the little bit that I saw when I booted up my console. When I went there, it says games with good accessibility features or like in-depth accessibility features, and it's good to see that, because I'm definitely the type of person that like I may stand and say that Dark Souls is best played, without an easy mode, but I'm also like I'll also concede and say, yeah, it probably does need some easier difficulties because not all of us have the same capability as
Yeah,
everyone
everyone's
else.
got different disabilities, whether they're physical or mental. But to see and when we see games a lot more these days that have accessibility options, which is nice, but to see a company like Microsoft actually like push forward, like, hey, we want to have way more accessibility options, not just in our games, but in our console itself and the controllers that we release. That's very commendable. I mean, it's a big
Yeah,
corporation, but at least there are people there that are thinking about this.
yeah, and that's always the caveat because some people you'll say like, I'm glad that Microsoft is doing this, and like they're not your friend, they're a company. It's like,
It's a
yeah, I'm
company. They
aware.
don't care
Yeah,
about your
yeah,
feelings.
it's like I'm aware, but it's a known quantity that
Yeah.
these companies are companies. All right, I understand they're doing it to sell me money. Look, all right, people are doing it in the medical field to sell things. Okay, they're also they're also helping me overcome my ailments. I mean,
Yeah.
am I going to sit there and be pissy because they're making money from it? Slightly. That'd be a whole podcast on its own for a different show entirely.
Another way
But
to look at it too is that money is probably going back into more research and development for this kind of stuff.
yeah, yeah,
You
that's
can't
and
get it
that's
for
the thing.
free,
It's very
as nice as
commendable.
it would be.
Yeah, but they doing a pretty good job of trying to make it as accessible as possible. Which
Speaking of accessibility, our, our next story, new Xbox Series X expansion cards from Seagate have been revealed. So for those of you who aren't in the know, the Xbox Series X, does the S do this as well, or is it just the
yeah,
X?
it's
Okay,
both.
so
Both of them have
both
it. Yeah.
next gen consoles use basically memory cards, which they're calling expansion cards, and this is all for like saving your data or saving your games. It can also speed up load times for your games, but these things are not cheap.
Well, they're not cheap. So,
Yeah,
but I will get into that in a sec.
they previously announced a while ago a 1 terabyte version, which retails for $219. But they just announced a 512 gigabyte version for $139.99, as well as a 2 terabyte version for $399.99. Backwards compatibility games will see significant improvements in terms of load times whenever you have them installed through either the new Seagate expansion cards or if you're playing them on a new next gen console. I get that this technology is fantastic. It's definitely not cheap. For the price of a 2 terabyte card, you could buy a Nintendo Switch OLED or a regular Switch in a game.
Or you could buy a Series S.
Yeah, you could buy a whole
That's 100 away from
console.
an X.
You could buy a whole console instead of
Well,
one of these cards. But you
well,
actually have the X, right?
yes.
Is this
Yes, I do.
something that you would be interested in upgrading to or using?
Believe it or not, it is to an extent. I wish I was kidding, and this goes for both consoles because I've managed to see. I've been luxurious enough to see both consoles in action when it comes to their load times. These guys have they've both taken a different route to
Hmm.
handling it, but they both have made some incredibly fast access speeds using like the
Oh
latest
yeah.
solid state drives. They both taken different ways of handling expansion. Here's where the caveat comes in. Like a lot of people talk about the pricing, that's the big one that comes in. But I'll admit, taking into account like the comparable ones fitting Sony's requirements, we're finding out some cheaper ones are making their way in there, but we've yet to see like the long-term ramifications. Maybe Sony knew something we didn't when they set up their specs. Um, but once you get the heatsink and that, they're actually not too far off. And I think that's where the kind of the premium price point comes from. Is like Sony's is involved. For me, I'm pretty up to date with it. So like putting it in an NVMe drive is easy potatoes. No problem. Yeah, that's not an issue for me. But Microsoft, you can definitely see where the option they're like, yeah, I'm not, we're not going to do this. That's not going to work. So they instead opted for proprietary. Is that always better? Probably not. But I do like that these can be just inserted in, and that's the fun part. These cards, just like the NVMe drives for Sony's console, they'll be regarded as internal storage. They're at the same speeds, and at the same spec point as the internal storage, which means you get all of the fun perks. Like you get Sony's compression, you get Xbox's direct on the board memory. Uh, so it's like from my experience, they're very comparable. It comes down to what caveat you want to deal with. Like, yeah, if you're me and Sony says, hey, buy these hard drives and put them in, I'm like, ah, easy peasy. But if you're not so simple with that, or you're not so down with that stuff, you haven't really taken your console apart before, you've never seen the inside of a PC in your life, you forgot there was one. Um,
I thought there was
it is
just
kind of
tiny
nice.
little people in there making my machine run.
Yeah, I thought that they were literally acting it out, like it was a puppet show. Like when I boot up the game, there's a little, okay, now we're gonna get into the humaneness of consoles if we go too far with this, because now it's like, wait, hold on, you're implying it's slavery. No, just for servitude in the name of my entertainment. But no, in all honesty, when it comes down to these, I actually would probably be eyeballing because it makes a world of difference. I didn't think it did, but even like a last gen game, I play a lot of PSO2, and that game I switched off internal to external for the sake of space, and it's night and day. It's down from like a 2 second load time, not even, to 15 to 20 seconds. So it's a sizable increase even for older games. The increase is insane. So I might take a gander at that 512. I'm not in the market for a 2 terabyte, but I also don't have that much space. I don't keep that many games installed. So it doesn't, yeah, I have the luxury of really fast internet. So for me, I'm just like, oh, I'll just install it. I don't keep these on the back burner.
Yeah, and I feel like they're easy to use. You buy it, you open it up, you just plug it in. I
Yeah, you
feel
slot
like
that thing in.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like with the Sony side of things, at those drives, I feel like if you're gonna go as far as to buy one and install it, you probably already know what you're getting into. But for the average consumer, it might be a little overwhelming and confusing, like you said earlier. It's just like, what's the inside of a PC?
Yeah.
So it,
Yeah.
it kind of goes back to that accessibility kind of thing when you think about it.
And unfortunately, that usually does come with a premium. It's not a, I still definitely suggest keep an eye out on these cards because 219, 399, or sorry, 139. The 219's always been available. But the 139, the 219, and the 399. I mean, these aren't cheap prices. Heck, the drives that you're getting for Sony's aren't cheap either. I mean, if you're following their specs, they're kind of like in the same ballpark. But I suggest the same thing I suggest with Sony's. Keep an eye out for them sales. Hold on to them vouchers. Definitely bring that price down as much as you can because these definitely aren't cheap. Not in the slightest, regardless of what work it requires.
Yeah, and over time they'll go down. Prices will go down.
Yeah, price of NVMe of the storage medium has been going down for some time, so
Hmm.
expect it to continue to go down.
Yep. And continuing on with our Xbox news, we have Phil Spencer saying we're definitely not done buying studios, essentially, which sounds like a
Have you
threat.
said that with some bias? Have you said that with? I feel like you said that with some bias.
I didn't mean
Maybe just a little
bias. I'm scared.
I tease. I tease.
Like this sounds more like a threat from Phil Spencer than it is a statement.
Yeah, it definitely. If you read it like I see the we're definitely not done, but I do see that there's the entire like thankfully our bud has gone in and found the in context quote as well. The quote actually comes down exactly. It says, "So we're always out there looking for people who we think would be a good match and teams that'd be a good match to our strategy. So we're definitely not done." That sounds a little a little tamer, but yeah, if you see that, we're definitely not done. Hold on to your pants. I'll buy you in a second.
I didn't add this to the notes, but he was wearing
Yep.
Joker makeup when he said that.
Are we like dead serious? Hold on.
He was totally like he had the suit, dressed as the Joker. He was licking his lips. It's scary, man.
We're
Phil
def-
Spencer has become a scary man.
we're definitely not done. This is the guy who basically teased an entire console by having it as bookshelf behind him.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I still got a chuckle out of that. He's like, you guys did see the new console. You didn't see it? Everyone scoured the footage, couldn't find anything. He's like, yes, right here. When they announced the S, he's like, yep. He pulls it out of his thing. It was legit just sitting in there, like a bookend, like a psychopath.
He does go on to say that there's no quota, there's no kind of timeline where I have to go acquire studios by a certain time. But if we find a studio where we have a good fit, we share what we're trying to go do and what they're trying to go and do. And if we feel like we can both get better together, absolutely. End quote.
Yeah.
Again, Joker makeup, Joker
I
suit.
I've basically been keeping up with this for a long time because I was skeptical too when they busted out with especially with the ZeniMax purchase, and even I'd be like, I don't know about this. Now, mind you, this doesn't come from Phil Spencer himself, but when they were like, yes, Starfield is going to be an Xbox exclusive, I'm like, it was never confirmed for any other console. It was confirmed for no consoles. In fact, we
Is
had
it even a
assumptions.
game? Does it
But
exist?
that's the thing is when they said it's going to be an Xbox exclusive, I'm like that kind of hurts. You're setting an interesting precedent here, coming from such a well known. But at the same time, they already had like a big. We could go into that all day, but Bethesda's already had a really deep relationship with Xbox. I mean, the 360 was changed to allow them to bring Oblivion to it easier. So like, there's all kinds of stuff. But I've been like in the thick of it. I've had Game Pass for a long time, and so I've gotten to see some of the fruits of that. We've got a few smaller studios that are bringing their stuff up, and I say this in the nicest way. The broad variety of quality that we get definitely says that what Microsoft essentially has been doing, and this is kind of what's been fitting their MO. They've essentially been coming in and saying, "Hey, we'll foot the bill. You just keep doing what you're doing." Like they've not like the few times complaints have come out, they have not. They've like we didn't do anything. They literally just work for us. That's it. We told them we'd like a game by this time. They got the money from us, and they continue developing the game that they wanted. Like that's kind of the process. Is like they're not looking at a game and saying, "Do you fit with our strategy?" On the contrary, they're like grabbing the game and saying, like, "Do we fit together in this strategy? Like, will we help each other, or is this just a case of us buying a game because it looks neat?" The acquisitions have been smart. I mean, Double Fine has also been doing a lot with them, with Xbox and the like. What with Psychonauts? That's also my big one is when I point to it is Psychonauts. Psychonauts 2 was, from what I hear, I haven't gotten the chance to play it myself, but from what I hear has been fantastic and is the absolute return of a classic. Uh, at no point does it feel like, it's been dabbled in. No corporate overlords, no EA-isms, if I may. No cases of Microsoft saying you need to change the game to be more to fit our quota. We need to make this much money from you guys or we close you. That I think that's when he says there's no quota. Like he's definitely talking about the purchase of the studios, but I think it kind of like goes across the others. I mean, obviously these studios have to make money. Like they got to do things, but they're doing it in a way that's more, like I said, is more akin to the way Sony does it, where they trust these guys have already been making games. I'm assuming that with the money, you will continue to do so. Here's the backing you need.
Because this
That's
started
why.
a few years
Go
ago.
ahead.
Was it 2017 or 2018 when Microsoft made that announcement at E3 that they had acquired, I think it was like 8 studios at the time?
They had acquired quite a few. I believe one of which was Team Ninja.
Yeah, and it's since then they haven't really had much to show for it. I understand developing games takes a long time, but I don't think it was really until they purchased ZeniMax that, and it's kind of like a cheat code, I guess, when you think about it. It wasn't really
Yeah,
Microsoft developing new IPs. They just put in a cheat code and went, hey, we want all your games that you've already made and have a fan base for, and now we're going to own them. So, in a way, it's kind of like a shortcut to get there to have studios and to have IPs that are valuable. But I think, like you said, there is that side to it where they're not just going to do that every time. If someone
yeah,
aligns with them, very much like Sony and Bluepoint, which they've had a relationship for a very long time, it makes sense for Sony to acquire them. Um,
yeah.
Microsoft working
Or
with
Insomniac.
Bethesda, yeah. The only time where this gets really iffy for me, I don't know. I don't care if it's Sony. I don't care if it's Microsoft. I don't care if it's Nintendo. If one of these guys were to buy a company like Square Enix or Capcom, I think that's when it starts to get dicey. And I'm not really a big fan of that because it just feels like, well, we just want you guys because of your IP, and this will help us beat this company. And I think at the end of the day, the people that hurt the most are the gamers. Like you look at Final Fantasy VII Remake, it's coming to PC eventually. I would assume it's going to come to Xbox consoles, but as of right
Maybe.
now, there are so many people that haven't gotten the chance to play it because they don't have PS4s or they don't have PS5s. And
Yeah,
when you have a third party title like that that is now in the grasp of a company, that kind of sucks, you know? And
yeah,
I wouldn't want that to happen down the line. I don't want Sony to buy Square Enix. I want everyone to be able to play Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts or whatever they're coming up with these days. So I really hope that these companies continue to take that approach of we know you, we like you, we got a relationship, you want to work for us. I think that's the best way to do it.
yeah. And to be fair, you did bring up probably right up there next to Bethesda or ZeniMax, probably one of the grayest when it comes to it because both ZeniMax. My apologies. Um, quick pause.
Don't
Because
apologize, be better.
because because I will reach across this microphone. But no, the thing you bring up definitely a great company because Square Enix has had a long-standing relationship
Yeah.
with
Since
Nintendo for a
yeah.
bit, and it was for Sony for a bit, and it was exclusively Sony and exclusively Nintendo at the
Yeah,
times.
Final Fantasy 1
And
through
then
6 was Nintendo, and then they jumped to Sony for their technology with 7, and
and
it's
then
kind of been
was it
like,
not? I think it was 13
yeah,
was when the
13 was
first
when they,
proper cross
and
release
that was a
across all three consoles
big
or two
deal.
consoles, I believe.
That was
Yeah.
a real big deal with fanboys. You had Sony fanboys like, "What? You can't do this. You can't give the Final Fantasies to Xbox." And Xbox was like, "Oh, we got Final Fantasy now." And it's a big
And
mess.
then Well, then there was Square Enix who was like, nobody owns us, so I can do what I want. But also, you guys didn't complain too much when we switched to Sony. Like, nobody was all like, hey, what about Nintendo? Like, Nintendo was like, okay, we'll see you later. We'll just continue making awesome games without you. But yeah, that's the same thing with ZeniMax. I mean, we have id Software, we have Bethesda or Bethesda.
Bethesda.
We have Bethesda. We have ZeniMax's development studio. They're the ones who've been handling Fallout 76 and Elder Scrolls Online. And each of these titles, there's a few more that I'm forgetting. But each of these titles or each of these studios have made games that have spanned the gamut from multi-platform titles, selective titles. I mean, we still have titles from Bethesda that are PS4 and 5 exclusives right now.
Yeah, for the time being.
Um, yeah, they were always going to be timed exclusives for that console. And so, like, I definitely think it needs to have a deft hand. And Microsoft, it sounds really weird. I'm not too worried about it. Microsoft has been pretty good about it, because I remember because I remember reading an interview with Phil Spencer where they literally called him up. Sony got a hold of him about Minecraft, and they're like, "Well, are you going to take Minecraft away?" And Phil's response was quite literally, "Why would I do that?
Yeah, it's
Like,
money, man.
why would I do that? Like, you guys have already been playing it. You guys are already one. That's the thing. One, they like money. I mean, everybody likes money. You're a company. You make money. You like money because it lets you make more. Um, there's no like Microsoft obviously wants to keep some things to themselves, but they definitely said that they want to tackle with a deft hand. And I'd imagine like Starfield is a new IP. I think that's the only reason why we've seen that like locked off. And to be fair, we knew nothing about that. We had assumptions. We assumed it was going to be a multi-platform title.
Because it was
But we
crowdfunded,
never,
right? There was elements that were crowdfunded.
not that I'm aware of, not for Starfield.
I
Hold
could have
on.
swore it had some type of
Now you've gone and pulled
fan
something.
backing at some point in time. I should have looked this up.
Yeah, that you've blindsided me with this. So, but to the point, we can get into there. Are you mixing it up with Star Citizen?
I might be
As
thinking
Star
of that
Citizen,
one.
yeah,
There's so
Star
many
Citizen
star things out
has
there. It's
been,
confusing.
yeah.
It's not
Well,
a big deal either way.
yeah, the big point, is, the big point is that is in the case of that makes sense. You know, that's a new IP. I really can't bash them for that one because that's not. We picked you up for your sweet existing IPs. We've closed off an IP that nobody's ever seen. So it's like I want everyone to play it, and PC will because Xbox has been pretty adamant. Sony's getting there too, as we'll find out as we go. They've been very adamant about doing simultaneous releases on PC and Xbox at the same time. And all their first party titles support PC out the gate. So, um, but like I fully expect them to handle the Elder Scrolls with a much more delicate hand because this is an established franchise that spans multiple consoles. I mean, they now the Switch as well. I mean, Nintendo's in it as well. And I think what happened with Minecraft, I feel like is the best thing to look at when you look at how Minecraft was treated and how the Elder Scrolls Online has been treated as cross-platform titles. Um, I think that's where to look when it comes to handling So in the event they did buy Square, I don't think they'd then go say, Sony, you don't get, you don't get any more Final Fantasy games. I think they'd look at it like future games that are original might end up having that, but I feel like for games that have already been established, like all they're going to do is build fan bashlack. Bashlack?
Bashlack.
Man, bashlack.
We're both tongue-tied.
Fan. What word was I even?
Backlash.
What? Backlash. There we go. Lashback.
Speaking of Sony and PC ports, this was leaked a while back. I believe we actually covered it when the NVIDIA Shadow Play
The shield
thingy,
yeah.
shield player thingy,
Um,
leaked a bunch of listings.
I'm trying to remember what the name was.
I think it's NVIDIA GeForce Now. Is that what it was?
GeForce Now, yeah. Shadow
Okay.
plays their recording software.
Yeah.
Yes. So when the GeForce Now drop happened, this was included.
This game was included. Sony just kind of quietly dropped a trailer on Twitter that blew up. But God of War is coming to PC in January. The release date is set for January 14th on 2022, and it will be coming to Steam. The PC port will include support for 4K output, 21:9 ultra-wide resolutions, unlocked frame rates, as well as DualShock 4 and DualSense controls, along with a, quote, wide range of other gamepads. So it's going to be weird seeing a God of War game with Xbox prompts on it.
Well, we said that too, but you see it with the Master Chief Collection, playing that with with Sony ones. That has been a fun picture to see. So it'll be good to see Sony get a little bit of that there too.
The Sony Santa Monica community manager, Grace Orlady, also confirmed robust input remapping in a post to the PlayStation blog. So that's pretty cool. It will also support advanced graphic settings, including shadow resolution, screen space reflections, ambient occlusion, and more. System requirements have not yet been announced, but you'll need at least 80 gigabytes of space for the game. They also announced that it will support NVIDIA's DLSS technology to help improve frame rates while maintaining a high visual fidelity. So there's a lot of jargon there, but
I do get an absolute chuckle out of will support advanced graphic settings, including shadow resolution, screen space reflections. Just in case you need that translated for you, it will be a PC game.
it gonna look good.
With all of the caveats that a PC game is. You can make that thing look like potatoes. You can run that thing as high as you want. All right.
I think that's
I'm
what a lot of
definitely
people are looking
hoping-
forward to.
Well, yeah, but I'm definitely hoping look. A lot of people looking forward to it because let's be honest. I mean, even now, Sony came out swinging hard on Xbox in terms of like having a little bit more beef to their power. However, once you take them out of the console vacuum, they were both incredibly underpowered compared to like the PCs at the time. So like even for Sony consoles, it's going to be good to see these up. I'm hoping the ports themselves lend themselves more to how Death Stranding's port went, which was basically worked nigh on perfect out the gate with little to no bug fixing required,
I think it will.
than it does Horizon Zero Dawns because
Yeah, I
I
think
love
with
that game, but that game came out busted on the PC port. It's a new thing for them.
yeah, they
growing
had their
pains, but
first go around with Horizon, but I think they're starting to get their feet under them with Death Stranding and now God of War.
yeah.
And I'm assuming stuff like
It was,
Uncharted.
it was vice versa, by the way. Death Stranding came first.
It actually came first before Horizon?
It did. The only difference was, and I think this is probably part of what happened, is Horizon, the studio behind Horizon, Guerrilla Games, weren't terribly familiar with PC ports. So I give them the caveat that they may not. However, here's the other part that makes me realize it's not a fair comparison. Suddenly forgot what his studio was. Kojima Productions, I believe it's still called. What is it? What is the studio
Oh,
called for Death
yeah, I
Stranding? I've
think it
suddenly
is.
forgotten.
I think it is Kojima Production.
I'm not entirely. I can't believe I forgot this. It's like my favorite game.
Also, we're
Oh my
pronouncing his
goodness.
name wrong. I always thought it was Hideo
Oh, it's,
Kojima. Apparently, it's Hideo Kojima.
oh, I just roll over it. That's my
Yeah.
bad. Oh, it is Kojima Productions. Can't believe I didn't know this. Wow,
Yeah.
amateur hour. Basically, they'd already made the PC port. They'd had the plan for the PC port. They literally developed it with PC as the target, and then they just brought it down to fit as comfortably on the PlayStation as possible. And so, like, I guess it's not a fair comparison because one is a port of a game that they didn't know they were doing a PC port of, and the other is a port of a game that, like, they literally already prepped the groundwork to do the PC port. So, but I'm still hoping, like, for their sake, especially considering, like to be on that side, because they're obviously coming out with this for Microsoft, because Microsoft did their PC always, or PC as like their target platform for every launch for their first party titles. And that's just free money. Everybody's waiting for the opportunity to play PlayStation exclusives on, let's be honest, the most powerful system available. If you've paid for one anyway. Uh yeah. Yeah. So it's like this is a good thing. I hope nothing but the best because it means knocking down more of those exclusive barriers. And that means Nintendo, you need to catch up.
Yeah,
Come on now.
I think the port will be good. I actually just sat down to play the PS5, well, the PS4 with the PS5 patch God of
Yeah.
War for the first time a couple nights ago, and 4K, 60 frames a second, looks incredible. I can't imagine how much better it's going to look on PC. I'm definitely going to be watching YouTube and Twitch to check out those streams to see how improved it looks. But man, the
I'd
first
actually
hour of that game is incredible.
I'd actually not hold my breath too much. The PS5 versions, thankfully, the PS5 and the Series X came out much harder this generation, and are still the biggest bang for their buck in terms of graphical power. So when it comes to huge changes, I think we could see a native 4K output, because the PS5 version does support 4K output, but I don't think it's 100% native. I believe it's a dynamic. It almost never changes. But to maintain that silky smooth 60, which is how it should be done, by the way. Um, to maintain that silky smooth 60, they do take cuts on, I believe it was the horizontal axis that they adjust. But that it's literally imperceptible to the average person, and the only people who are people like me who are up against their screen going, "Hold on a second, this pixel just changed." And so thankfully, but PC, especially with DLSS, DLSS has been fantastic at giving effectively 4K image quality, but at 1080p, and that in technology has only been improving. And speaking of which, Death Stranding again, a fantastic game for me, supports DLSS, and it's been a charm on that to see what essentially is like 480i output being pushed to almost 4K output. And I wouldn't suggest it because textures get muddy, of course, but it's still some black magic that's running inside of those cards when that happens. So yeah, it's gonna be you're gonna see some wild 4K output at like 144 hertz, and you're gonna wonder how do you ever play anything but that?
Yeah, it's gonna look stupid. A quick story. This is about Sora making it into Smash. Now this has been a meme. This has been freaking
A lot.
legend across for years.
This
People have wanted Sora in this game.
Since Sora came out,
Yeah,
since Kingdom Hearts dropped.
he's the impossible character. He should not be in Smash. This should not have worked because the rights situations behind Sora are
Oh,
so
it's everywhere.
freaking weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like Disney owns his shoes, Square owns the hair. I think Disney owns the Keyblade. So you have all these different parties that own certain parts of Sora, and then you get into the whole thing of, well, can we use Disney imagery? No, we can't, except for like the one little Mickey emblem on the Keyblade. I think he's the perfect last character for Smash Ultimate, because Smash Ultimate, let's just say it now, there's never going to be another game like it. The fact that they've been able to do what they have, the fact that Sakurai has been able to do what he has, getting characters like Sora, getting expensive characters like Cloud and Sephiroth, those guys were not cheap. Kazuya from Tekken, all these different I'm leaving so many characters out because there's like what,
I
90
was
something.
about to say, yeah, you're leaving my boy Banjo Kazooie out, and
Banjo
that was
Kazooie
literally a
there,
return to the platform there, because that
Bayonetta's
he,
there.
yeah,
All, yeah, it's
yeah,
an
Bayonetta was
incredible
actually
feat.
from Wii
Smash
U, but
4, yeah.
yeah, but yeah, no, it's still, yeah. You show me a screenshot. You show me a screenshot of these guys duking it out back when what is it? Back when Melee was a thing, and I would have called you insane. You need to stop showing me Photoshop shit, because this is fake.
It's astonishing what they've been able to do in that roster they've been able to build, and to have Sora be the last character was really cool, because when Smash 4 was released, they held an online poll, basically allowing fans to request what fighter they wanted, and Sora won that poll, but they never revealed the results because, let's be honest, Disney and Square trying to get copyrights from them and permissions, it would have been crazy
It took a
hard to
game.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it took a game's worth of development to sort that.
And the last thing you'd want to do is be like, hey, Sora won our poll, and then not be able to fit him into your game. But it actually, by chance, is the reason why Sora got into Smash Brothers. And he actually said that the only reason Sora was able to make it in, well, it's probably not the only reason, but the biggest reason was simply because
Biggest.
he ran into somebody from Disney at an award show. And that
And they
person
were
said,
hype about it.
yeah, they're like, hey, like Sora being in Smash would be really, really cool. And that's actually what got the ball rolling on these business discussions. And if Sora hadn't have made it in, Kazuya technically would have been the final Smash character. But it just goes to show you, man, like something as simple as a handshake and a hello can make a child's dream come true. It's
Well,
astonishing.
the fun part is he also did reveal, there's a little bit of a personal aside to it too. Getting Sora into Smash actually was one of the last things. I believe it was the last things that he was working on with um oh my lord, have mercy, this name left me. I've been prepping to say this whole time.
Give me some clues here.
Satoru Iwata.
Okay, yeah,
It
Iwata.
was the last piece of content for this. It was one of the last pieces that they'd worked on together, like as like something to discuss, plans that were being laid out. It was one of the things that were like last, and it was almost essentially, if I remember correctly, it was essentially not so much like all respect to everybody, but it wasn't like he laid down and his dying wish was, I want Sora and Smash. But it was something that he felt not so much was owed, but was something he wanted to see through. No matter how hard it got, he was going to get this sorted in some fashion or another. And so, like, while my personal opinion, I wasn't a big Kingdom Hearts guy. Not that I'm
It's
not saying I hated it.
it's
I just
because
wasn't
your
playing it.
eyes are clouded by hate.
It's not clouded by hate. Calm your butt. It is okay. It is for the second part. For the first one, I just didn't watch it. So like my first one, as somebody who hasn't seen it, I'm like, good for people who wanted that. As somebody who played Smash, really another sword user. Wow, we needed that.
It's a keyblade,
But
okay? There's a
but
difference.
yeah. Well, wait, he swings like a sword and it swooshes like a sword. uh, but I'll always put that aside.
There's an exception
Mostly
for
because of
Sora.
just, well, there's an exception for Sora specifically for two reasons. One, the developmental reasons you were describing, just getting it is literally the impossible character, a character we never thought was going to make step foot. And then two, it being one of the last pieces that Satoru Iwata and Sakurai worked on. That's always going to be fine. And the thing is, when you delve into their history, you realize that these are two people that have been thick and thin, have been tackling all kinds of stuff. I mean, Smash wouldn't exist at all if it weren't for Satoru Iwata, uh, because and this is the story I always remember. Notoriously, they were trying to put together, couldn't find characters for the original Smash Brothers. This was a game that Sakurai was putting together. He'd already proven himself with Kirby. You know, he knows a game when he sees one. He knows something good. And Iwata had gotten to a point where he's like, you know what, Sakurai's got a good gut on him. But he couldn't figure out characters. He's like, why don't we use Nintendo characters? And at the time, this is when Iwata was at HAL Laboratory. He wasn't president of Nintendo, nothing. And they brought the initial pitch. Iwata brought the initial pitch with Nintendo characters um, up to Miyamoto himself, and he shot it down. Straight up shot it down. Absolutely not. However, Iwata did not tell Sakurai that. He said, just keep working on it. Keep refining that pitch. Keep working on that. After some long chunk of development and keeping that little secret in his back pocket that he definitely got told no, they took the new and refined version that Sakurai and him had been working on and brought it to Miyamoto. And with that level of polish, give it the okay to go forward with Nintendo characters. So that's the thing, is like this is a culmination of years of it, of work between those two. So to see that, it's a perfect end cap for that, and it's bittersweet. Brings a little bit of melancholy into the room.
Yeah, and it's a really well done trailer. All of the trailers for Smash
Well done
Ultimate,
character from what I saw.
yeah, all of the trailers for Ultimate, they really put a lot of work into, and to have Sora come through and like the whole setup for the trailer of the Smash emblem going out and then that one little drop of flame hits and then it's enough to get Mario to go and grab it and throw it, and you see the Keyblade, and then Sora coming back is kind of like a reinvigoration of that. So I actually thought the trailer was really, really nice and really well done.
Yeah, I don't think honestly, I wouldn't even be in disbelief if Sakurai himself was straight up, you know what, this is the last Smash I make. I'm like, this is a good high note. Anything after this, I don't know what you'll do. There's really nothing you can do to knock the mold here, aside from maybe overhaul that internet, but that's on Nintendo, not you.
Yeah, the
I
only
feel like
thing I can think of is just re-release Ultimate on a next console. That's really all you can do from there.
yeah, Smash Ultimate Series X edition, except for whatever their console is.
OLED edition.
Oh, gee, it's brighter. Oh, I feel like that edition's already out. It's called Put Smash into the OLED Switch, and it works.
One thing you missed though.
Oh, I missed. I'm sorry.
Yeah, when Sakurai said all this stuff, you know what he was doing?
Oh boy, what?
He was wearing Joker makeup.
Oh my God. Of course he was. Is this? Do you have like they live set of glasses that you wear, and just it lets you see everyone for their true Joker makeup they're wearing underneath, and like what iteration Joker they're wearing tells you their intentions.
It's Specialized.
A specialized.
It's my Specialized. Yeah, but it's a crazy feat. Beautiful trailer.
Yes.
Yes. Our next story is actually about Bloodborne.
Which is kind of, yeah, I was about to say, bit of a flip and switch there.
Yeah, we're going from bright and happy and jolly from Sora to
Yep.
Yarnum, darker, scarier, gothic.
Bring on the depression. Let's go.
So this news it's kind of funny. The source of this news, it's from Nick Baker, who is of the Xbox Era podcast. So an Xbox podcast breaking Sony news is actually kind of ironic when you really think about it.
Well, PC port, it's kind of under their purview.
Yeah, he's reported that there are multiple Bloodborne projects in the works, including that PC port, a sequel, and then a PS5 upgrade specifically from Bluepoint Studios. He goes on to say there's been rumors floating around about Bluepoint and Bloodborne, and I have been told by a couple of different sources a couple of different things about Bloodborne. I've been told there's a PC port that's already done. I believe Bluepoint is doing the sequel, and I think Bluepoint might also be doing the console remaster of the first one. Now, I actually think that these are all separate things. I think the PC port will be like a remaster. I think there will be the sequel, but then I legitimately think that PS5 upgrade is going to be in the vein of what they did with Demon Souls. I don't think it's just going to be a straight up remaster with fixed frame rate and no tech issues. I think they're going to go full bore and remake this game. That's the vibe I'm getting.
I mean, I want to have that vibe, but at the same time, part of me thinks like that would literally cause backlash, because I ain't gonna lie, even part of me, if PS5 gets a Demon Souls style remake and then PS and PC gets like, hey, you get the PlayStation 4 game, but like, you know, fixed. It's like, oh, okay, why'd you even bother then? I would have preferred nothing.
Well, I was just gonna say with the PC version, mods, you can do whatever you want with that game, and the community is gonna go nuts
Yeah,
with
I
Bloodborne.
absolutely believe that, but I'm also of the person that thinks that when people say that Bethesda brings their games out specifically so that modders can fix them, like, yeah, no, I don't want to say that. I'm not, it should not be up to modders to fix your games. I don't even like. There's a whole thing about that with Bethesda. I literally just think they literally just have a strange quality bar. But but Bluepoint though, however, I do believe that Bluepoint's involved. That sounds absolutely because if there's one thing Bluepoint has done, not only when it comes to tackling original stuff, but they've been literally like the king of porting stuff
They're
over.
an
I mean,
incredible
the
port
Nathan
house.
yeah, and Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection, the first three games, ported by them. Gravity Rush remastered, reported by them. The HD collection of Metal Gear Solid, ported by them. I mean, all of these have been handled with them.
They got a pedigree.
Um, yeah, I mean, while Shadow of the Colossus and Demon Souls were incredible remakes from the ground up, uh, to see a game like Bloodborne, which already it looks fantastic, it literally is the definition of untapped potential. The game is waiting for the gates and the chains to be pulled off, and that's why I want to think it's like, look, the dream is I want every game to look like Demon Souls. Like, I want
Yeah, I
every
mean,
game that comes up
it.
to be remade like that.
A quick
GTA,
little,
for example.
yeah, a quick aside. Elden Ring looks the way it does, and then you have Demon Souls from Blue Point, and it's like Demon Souls look 10 times better visually
Well,
than Elden Ring, which is probably not
that's
fair, but
yeah, no. Demon Souls does have some pretty tight environments.
mm,
That's the thing. Demon Souls looks, to cut this aside as short as I can. Demon Souls looks the way it does because of like its level design and intelligent culling of its geometry. To take that and put it into Elden Ring, I don't think would be possible, just because of the breadth of that Elden Ring has. Like, their horse is on steroids, sprinting at full speed, trying to get across this map. So, but they also, it's different art styles. Like, let's be honest, Demon Souls 1 versus the actual Demon Souls versus the Demon Souls remake. I mean, artistically very different. Blue Point has a style all their own, absolutely, and you can see that in Demon Souls and Shadow of the Colossus. But like I said, it's Bloodborne feels too like, it feels like I said, all it needs is that last push to realize its potential, and that's to cut the limits. I mean, there was more than just 30 FPS. I mean, there was abysmal load times, incredible screen tearing, huge drops in random spots, and those modders you were mentioning before. We've already seen what an unhooked and unhooked and 60 FPS. The resolution wasn't great because I believe they dropped it to 720 to achieve this. But there is like illegitimately handled patch to essentially unlock the frame rate and run it at 720p, and the game runs and plays significantly better. I feel like all this game needs is that push what it has going out further, and it'll absolutely have the legs to stand on. But and Blue Point would be the guys to handle it. I mean, that game is, yeah, that game is going to be require some work to port.
the only reason I think it's going to be a full on remake is because he made it a point to single out PC port and then console remaster, which I know remaster and remake are two different things, but I really think they're going to do that with Bloodborne. It just makes sense.
It kind of does, but again, it does it from a business standpoint, it doesn't really make sense to me. Like like, you're already doing the work. Why not just have the essential remake come out on both of them? Unless, of course, you're very obviously, without even trying to hide it, play favorites, which wouldn't be unfair in a vacuum, because it is a Sony property. It's not from a Sony company, but it is from a, well, Bluepoint is, but I mean From Software, the original game. That was a deal struck between them. But in all honesty, From Software is a free agent to an extent, works with anybody. Um, but at the same time, to release what essentially is a gimped PC version and then have like a PS5 remake from the ground up, there'd be a lot more angry faces than there would be happy faces. That's for sure.
I don't know.
Me being one of them, but I also don't own a PS5. You could probably see where my angry face comes from. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you literally spent the work to sell me nothing. Like, why'd you even bother porting it? Like, if you told me there's a PS5 remake coming for it, I'd be like, that's the nature of the industry. They own the thing. It's their thing. But it's like, you get the PC version. It's like, oh really? Yeah, the like PS4 port of the original PC version. It's like, oh, why bother? It just doesn't make much sense to me personally. But like I said, wishful thinking is wishful. That harsh reality aside, I'm always hoping for the best version of anything to come out. I never want something to come out gimped ever.
I think the important thing is that Sony still thinks about Bloodborne. Something
Yeah,
Bloodborne related is happening.
Yeah, because From Software sure as hell doesn't.
So moving on to our final story. This is kind of a mixed bag for some people as well. Rockstar announced confirmed the GTA Trilogy, the definitive edition. They released the trailer. There's 2 release dates to really keep an eye on. We have the digital version of the game, which is on console and Rockstar's launcher, not Steam, will be coming out on November 11th, with physical copies coming out on December 7th, which is kind of a weird, interesting release thing to do. But
I was just gonna say physical releases, depending on what it is, can sometimes take a while. And if they just decided, you know what, if the discs aren't gonna be done until then, it's done. Just release the digital versions like a month ahead.
And there is some interesting stuff about that in regards to the Switch version, which we'll get to. But according to a Rockstar press release, these improvements include a resolution upgrade, a rebuilt lighting system that will see improved weather, shadows, and reflections alongside upgraded, in quotations there, character and vehicle models, as well as an increased draw distance, so all 3 games look crisper than ever without sacrificing their original aesthetic. Rockstar has confirmed that new GTA 5 inspired modern controls will be part of the package, as well as improvements to targeting, enhanced minimap navigations. So basically, the stuff we see in GTA 5 will be on these versions, is basically what they're saying.
Oh, Switch has exclusivity on the gyro aiming. Ugh,
yeah,
can't believe that.
That's a mad face. You want to talk about angry face? I'm not gonna sleep.
It. I guess I'm buying it there. You know, everyone's fawning over the sync there, but you know who did that beforehand? PlayStation 3, and everybody dogged them. Actually, they dogged them because they dogged them because they removed Rumble and then insisted they couldn't put it back, and then did it anyway.
It's like Microsoft. Like, you can't just flip a switch. Immediately flips the switch.
To be entirely fair, I always get a chuckle that like 6 months beforehand, they're like, you can't flip a switch. They do so, release it, and everyone goes, this dashboard feels 6 months old. And it's like, imagine where all their dev time went. Flipping that big giant switch. But anyway, going back to this.
There's some interesting little exclusives here. Speaking of Microsoft, Xbox Game Pass will receive San Andreas on November 11th for free, while Sony on PlayStation Now will get GTA 3 on December 7th. So they are having free exclusives for each console. Nothing for Nintendo. However, the box art for the Nintendo Switch version was released, and it does say on the bottom, download required. So it's getting people thinking that, there might be either a code in the box, perhaps a cartridge, but it looks like for the Switch version, you're going to be downloading these games instead of just having them on your cart.
There could go one of 2 ways. You could end up with a download code, or it could be basically, there's been a few times where this has been the case, where there's no download code. It's just essentially once you put it in, you have to update it, and the update basically just includes everything else that didn't fit on the cartridge. Yeah, and thus that means because the caveat it makes is if they put codes in there for the separate games, here's the scenario: you pick up your copy of the game, you buy it, you enjoy it for a little bit, you're like, I'm good, but you've already turned in the codes for Vice City and San Andreas. 3 is all that comes on the cartridge. You go and sell that back to GameStop. You're basically not buying the GTA Trilogy. You're buying just GTA 3 because the rest isn't necessary. However, with an update, that avoids that issue. I could see people trying to like fight the resale market, but we've seen what's happened when that was the case before. So I'm hoping it's more along the lines of like when you put it in, there's an update. What's the update? GTA, Vice City, and San Andreas. It'd be that easy, and anybody can do that. Doesn't matter when you got your copy.
I'm actually really interested to revisit GTA 3. Out of all those originals, GTA 3 is probably the one that I think about the most. Visually though, I'm torn. Visually it looks weird. When I first saw the graphics, especially on the character models, I thought to myself, this looks like a Nickelodeon CGI show. And then somebody I watched on YouTube, they explained it perfectly. They said it looks like Fortnite, and now I can't unsee it.
It kind of does. It definitely preluded Fortnite before Fortnite.
Yeah.
because I did take the time. The first knee-jerk reaction when I saw it was pretty wild. We're talking about the art style, of course. Um, and like I'm still kind of put aside by some of the scenes, like when I see CJ and the like. In fact, weirdly, I'm of two minds. With 3, I feel like it's like you've gone too far. Vice City fits. It's vibrant. I may not agree with all the character models, but it's fine. I'll let it slide. San Andreas was definitely the game that was struggling with the hardware that it had. It's like it wanted to be bigger, and when I see that one, it's like San Andreas now looks visually consistent. Because San Andreas had such a huge world, but like it's weird. The character models actually got, I think, like to an extent, got worse looking. So I feel like they got cleaned up a lot better. So now Ryder can call me a busta in high definition, and I can actually make out his face instead of seeing like just this brown smudge in the background with a green shirt on.
Because GTA, those games have always kind of had a cartoony look to them.
Yeah,
So when you up-res them and clean them up, it looks cartoony. But
yeah,
I think Tommy Vercetti looks the worst.
yeah. Out of all that, yeah, that's the one that I definitely think like it's the
He,
style change color
yeah,
wise fits it best. But yeah, Tommy Vercetti looks like a different man. It's his brother Johnny Vercetti.
Johnny Vercetti.
That's what I'm just gonna use it.
He looks like an amoeba to me. He looks so
Timothy
weird.
Vercetti.
Timothy Vercetti.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
gotta find Johnny. He still sounds cool. I realized. I said it. I'm like, no, that's still awesome. Timothy.
Yeah. I think the
Also, he looks like an
lead.
amoeba.
Yeah, he does look like an amoeba to me. The lead of GTA 3, I forget his name.
Johnny GTA.
Jonathan GTA.
Wow, I think it's Claude, if I remember
Claude,
correctly.
yeah, that's the name. I think in certain screenshots he looks fine. His face
Yeah,
looks detailed. It doesn't look weird or oddly shaped. Like you said, San Andreas finally looks better now. That fits, but I don't know. It's like all 3 games, certain screenshots and clips I've seen look weird at times. It's hard to
yeah,
explain.
yeah. Like GTA San Andreas, there is a point to say that San Andreas now looks the way I always saw it when I
Hmm.
played on Xbox back when.
Yeah.
By the way, that's the uniqueness. I mean, if you do need an explanation, the reason why is GTA San Andreas was the first time that Xbox got San Andreas, like the proper release of San Andreas,
Hmm.
versus getting like a last minute port, if I remember correctly. Because three and Vice City did make their way there eventually. But when it came to like Impact, just sorry, I feel like this needed just a quick little explanation. But yeah, the reason why Game Pass is getting that is also San Andreas still has an existence on Game Pass. The 360 port exists on Game Pass. None of the others do. 3, however, coming to PlayStation, self-explanatory. But I
Hmm.
think the thing that jars me the most, back to the art style anyway, I think the thing that jars me the most is that they've opted to give them all their like own instead of giving them, they each had a unique look.
Yeah.
Like 3 was like your dusty cold city, like upper Manhattan area. It had papers flying around, a lot of rain, a lot of overcast days, which was definitely part of the tech at the time. I mean, you don't exactly want to bust out with super bright sunny days because then your lack of dynamic lighting really comes out. um Vice City had the big pop in colors of a California coast city, a mix of Las Vegas and a mix of like Las Vegas and Los Angeles. However, when it comes to San Andreas definitely had that. It was supposed to be an actual mix of LA. Mind you, Vice Cities was like 70s theme, but San Andreas was definitely LA mixed in with like the Dust Bowl deserts of the nearby areas of California there, moving into Nevada a little bit. And so, like, weirdly enough, I feel like the lighting changes for San Andreas fit. The lighting changes for Vice City are getting close, but 3 looks straight on weird with like the brand new lighting systems and the like.
Hmm.
I I'm taken completely aback by that. Like it does not look. I think that's the thing is like there's a certain point where the game like Crash Bandicoot remastered and remade looks like what I thought Crash Bandicoot looked like back when. Um, like the same can kind of go for like the Halo games. Like maybe not so much 1, but 2 looks exactly like what I thought 2 looked like with its remaster, and swapping between really shows you that those rose tinted glasses are wild. This one, I don't know what these games are. Like I see them running and I'm like, hold on, this was GTA. Like it doesn't really it it's hard to describe.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe.
And
It
also
doesn't
some,
fit.
yeah, some of the characters like because of the way they were modeled in the original game, some characters have separate fingers and others don't. They have like a claw hand, and they
Yeah.
kept that. It's
In
jarring.
3, they have club hands for sure.
Yeah. All in all, though, like I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, why are they doing this? I want GTA 6 instead. I'm like, this is fine. I'll go back and play through 3 probably because that's the one that I think about the most. But
I didn't have a memory card at the time. I never got to beat any of these games.
oh well, now you
I got
can.
to play the intro mission for as long as I could, and then when my console turned off, it was starting over. It's like playing arcade games.
They also did announce this will be full price, so $60.
All right, now you got me. There's the caveat. I found it.
You know how you know what I was doing when I said that?
Wearing Joker makeup.
Yeah, I'm the Joker right now.
Literally right now.
It just happened. There was a shift in the middle of our podcast, and I went Joker. I got Joker-fied.
Like those corny. Do you remember those old YouTube videos of the people saying like I've got a good side and a bad side? It would do a flash and it would be them in makeup and shit, and it was supposed to be like really badass, but it just looked really cringe.
That's
Like I just
basically
imagine
the
that's
cringe
what
side
happened.
of TikTok.
Yep, that's literally it's still a thing. Oh,
Yep.
I thought maybe we left it behind. Never
Hasn't
mind.
gone anywhere.
No, this whole joke fell apart because I found out I'm not joking. This is literally what's happening. I don't want to talk about it anymore. So GTA, yeah, solid stuff. I'm glad to see it coming forward. Because I definitely feel. See, here's the thing. I feel like it's probably gonna lean more like Mass Effect Legendary Edition did, where with 1, they definitely spent their time going, okay, like let's be honest, 1 absolutely is showing its age. We can port it straight, but it's not gonna be great. Like I'll admit, if you ported GTA, like we've seen GTA 3 and stuff running on like modern PCs, and almost everybody always suggests, man, I know this great stuff to push out the detail. I know this great stuff to clean up some models. Like even those of us who play today don't actually play the GTA we played when it came out.
Hmm.
So I think when it comes to like offensiveness, it's honestly it's not that bad because when I see what I see there, these are the same things that are available out there for mods, lighting overhauls, shader reshades to give it better color, cleaned up character models. So it's like we asked for this. Some of us didn't. You know, those of us who weren't in the PC modding realm playing these games like that, we probably didn't. So we see it and we're like, huh, what? But a lot of people, this is basically what it is. I'm just glad more people are going to be able to get called a busta like at every freaking turn and find out the real struggle of chasing that train, CJ.
San Andreas was the only one I never beat. San Andreas out
It's-
of the original, and then GTA 4. Those are the
It
two I
was
never
the
finished.
It was a sprawling game. GTA 4 has slow points, so I don't blame you for that. There's points where it's just like, come on. But San Andreas, uh, even I haven't finished it, and part of that is because it was just a sprawling game, and my attention span was so small. And then I got Xbox Live.
I got stuck on one mission. I never forget it. You have to take a limo across town, get it fixed up, and then drive it
boy.
all the way back across town without any damage. And every single time, a car would run into me. I'm trying to turn. I'm actually following the stoplights. Car comes out of nowhere, nudges into my limo,
Is-
and I have to start over.
Wasn't there a caveat with that too, where like a certain gang, if they saw you, they would unload on you, and they would like
Oh,
mark them on your
I
minimap
didn't
to
make it
avoid them?
far enough across town for that to happen to
I
me.
can't. I remember that being an absolute chore. That and the plane mission, I believe, from Vice City. Or was it San Andreas? I'm drawing
I
a
don't
blank
know.
here. But yeah, these games, finally somebody's gonna see our pain. And when they say to themselves, I don't know why you guys keep talking about games like being difficult, making you who you are. It's like now you can finally feel what it's like to have walked to school in the snow, in the pouring rain,
Back in my day.
uphill both ways. Okay, this is what it is. You could do the plane mission. If they change, I swear to God, like these are complaint parts. Like we talk about them now, like oh these like oh so frustrating. But if this new one came out and it's easier to chase the train, I'm gonna start a fire like for real. I'm gonna literally light things. Like this isn't the real GTA.
It probably will be, but it's going to come out. It'll probably do really well. I don't think it'll be GTA 5 levels of doing well, where that game is somehow still in the top 10 best-selling games every month.
Well, when your target demographic are whales the age of 15 or below,
True.
I mean, you know.
That's the thing with GTA is you're always going to have an age group that ages into GTA.
Yeah, or the one that's literally aged with GTA. I mean,
Yeah.
I think there's some who are now as old as GTA 5 and have been playing it the whole time.
It's nuts. But
anyway.
Yeah, that's basically our podcast for, I was going to say this week, but this month. Again, we got that State of Play tomorrow, 20 minutes. Even if there's nothing spectacular, I think we can still cover it, along with that 6-minute Halo campaign video. So,
now, while that is 6 minutes, you're talking to two people who have been two different minds.
Yeah.
So that one will be a meaty conversation. It may be 6 minutes, but for us, it's going to be the best
we're also two people who have been with Halo since the original Halo.
And have gone our separate ways. While I stuck with Halo 5 over the course of its Is there dog barking in the background, is there not?
It's fine. We're at the end.
Right. I don't even... You're like, I don't care anymore.
I'm the Joker.
But regardless.
I don't care. I'm the Joker, baby. I just do it.
Well, the rest moved away. I was part of Halo 5's like target demographic, so being like highly competitive was my thing. So when 5 came out, I absolutely dove into that multiplayer. The stuff for a lot of my other friends, you included, Kirschbaum to an extent, you guys were left high and dry by 5. Like, in 2 ways. The multiplayer left... Watching Kirsch not have fun playing Fiesta in 5 is what made me realize that 5 had problems that were deeper than just the campaign. And it's not even problems, it's just straight up, you guys left a whole subsection of your community behind. And that's like the custom game and the people that don't play Halo every single freaking day of their life. But yeah, you'll get 2 different opinions. You know, one who is definitely sticking with 5 for a long time and still plays the campaign every so often, once or twice, because the levels are amazing, even if the story is complete dog horse doo-doo. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to catch that. I definitely highly recommend it. If you made it to the end of this, you can make it to that next one.
Yeah, that'll be a shorter one, but I think we'll probably get to that within the week, depending on like when we schedule it. But
yeah, what the State of Play brings.
Anything we talked about interests you guys? Again, feel free to check the description box. We're gonna have links to all of our articles that we covered for this podcast. I will also have your socials in there, maybe mine.
Maybe yours. I mean, this is your spiel. I'd sure imagine that you have at least 1 or 2 of them.
Stuff will be in the description box if you care. But
there'll be all kinds of interesting stuff. We'll be at this again. Don't worry. We're finding our stride.
We'll get there. But I am Curious Corduroy again. I am joined by Drunklock Holmes.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic guy. Him, not me. I'm sorry. It's bad timing. I was supposed to say that a little bit ago. Missed the cue. Can we do that again?
Yeah, just that was me rewinding it. Now I got to rewind it again. I am Curious Corduroy, joined by
fantastic guy.
You just this is the end of the podcast. Shit will be in the description box.
This is Curious Corduroy. I'm joined by Blunklock Dromes. You'll want to go ahead and help him out. Go to his OnlyFans. No, I'm kidding.
It's for 30 days free.
30 days free. I'll be doing all kinds of not safe work stuff.
$4.99 afterwards.
Filing my paperwork late. Climbing on the outside of the windows. Getting coffee on company time. Taking too long of a bathroom break. You know.
Oh, I did that. Stuff. I definitely did that in the past.
Dude, everybody does that. Never use the bathroom on your own time.
And getting paid to do it. That's the most Joker thing you can do, man.
I'll have to agree with you there, and I begrudgingly do so. But anyway, it's been a solid podcast, man. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for the people who have listened. Again, we'll find our groove, but that was the podcast, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Take it easy, guys.